What's up and welcome back to Nowstalgia Pod, your weekly look at what's going on in pop culture. My name is Pat Sheen. I am here with my co-host Dave Martinson. Dave, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Pat, it is disturbing what I gross. How are you doing, sir?
We got maybe the most packed week in Nowstalgia Pod history. I think we have in total like 10 or 11 topics we're touching on. So this might be a particularly long episode. So feel free to bookmark this and come back to it as you need to. We know that our listeners consume this at different times of the day. So yeah, we just appreciate all your support. Give us a subscribe on YouTube somewhere below. Go to soundcloud.com/nostalgiapod and follow us there. Share us with our friends, with your friends, our friends, maybe if you want to. And yeah, also give us a rating and review on iTunes and follow us there. We really appreciate it. All your feedbacks, very much appreciate it. And Dave, I want to give you some credit here because one of our more successful breakout videos on YouTube recently has been our XXL or your XXL predictions, my feeble guesses to see who would be on it this year. And you nailed it, dude.
All 9, right? They didn't pick a 10th spot. So the 9 that they did pick were 9 we had. Again, some of those had leaked, but you know, a lot of those I would have went with anyway. The only ones that I probably wouldn't have picked that leaked were Stefflon Don and YB and Namir. I think should have waited, but overall, 9 for 9, pretty solid list. Pretty happy Wi-Fi's Funeral got on there and Ski Mask as well. We reviewed both their projects recently, so check those out if you missed it. So no 10th spot, which means one guy we did predict didn't make it, which was T Grizzly. I thought that was a little curious that he wasn't there. Perhaps he turned it down. I really don't see a reason why he wouldn't get on there, but alas, the 9 people that did make it we had, and we reasoned why all those people should or shouldn't get on there. So check out that XXL breakout Pat just referenced for more on that. But yeah, another year. The ciphers are starting to pop up this week. So yeah, pretty juiced that they more or less got everything right. So happy with that.
Yeah, Dave, I was really surprised that you got all of them right. But prior to us recording, we were scrolling Twitter as we're wont to do, and came across both of our timelines that a former XXL freshman from last year, someone we've talked about quite a bit this year, xxxTentacion, was shot just prior to recording. Right now, we're not really sure what his status is, whether he is alive, whether he is dead. Doesn't really look very good for him from some of the videos that were posted. What's your initial reaction to this?
Yeah, so as far as we know at the time of recording, he was rushed to a hospital. I saw some no pulse reports. Again, tough to know what's correct and what's not. But as of right now, he's been sent to the hospital. That's what we know. It's tough because we reviewed his most recent album, Question Mark, as you referenced, and that album was massive. X is a very young rapper, but incredibly large fan base, and it's tough for me to really rationalize this because I'm not the biggest fan of his music per se, but I do recognize his influence and what he's doing, and also on the other hand, he's done a lot of bad things in his short time on this earth. There's a reason he's not on tour right now. There's a reason he was in jail for some time. There's some really gross things that he's done and said. And I know his fans will probably bring up the charity work he's done recently, and perhaps he is a bit of a changed man. I don't know. But it's tough to be happy that someone got murdered if that is what really happened. But on the other hand, I'm not going to just, celebrate the man, because I think he was kind of a bad guy, and perhaps maybe he was turning the corner. We don't know. Maybe he never will get the chance to keep doing that, but still kind of sad. You don't want to see violence in hip hop. He's kind of been someone to talk about it though. So in a sense, some people would say maybe he got what was coming to him because this is something he's, like 6ix9ine, he kind of flirted with. So I don't know. It's a tough situation.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm kind of thinking about the Pusha Drake, feud recently, which people were saying, wow, we haven't really heard disses like this in a long time. People were referring back to like Biggie and Tupac days. Obviously not to that extent, but I don't know if this was related to any feuds he had in hip hop, if this was even from the hip hop world. I saw some reports that it might have been a robbery. It's definitely sad, just because no matter how controversial and how this person presents, I don't think anyone deserves to have their life taken from them in this manner without, facing some sort of judgment, and like going to the death penalty is not a conversation we're gonna, or a debate we're gonna have here today. But it's interesting, because I think this is one of those times, and we've had to reckon with this more and more throughout this year, not only around a situation like this, but just as more and more people that a lot of people stand for are shown to be less than perfect. I mean, someone that was this week shown to be way less than perfect was Chris Hardwick, with all the controversy and the allegations made against him by a former ex-girlfriend. So it's definitely conflicting, and something that we'll be talking about more. We just hope that, he pulls through, and that from there, whatever consequences he were to face for things that he's done, he's able to face in that way. So let's move on to some happier news. An album I wanted to talk about for a couple weeks now, but I just forgot to mention to you, and finally you got to Parquet Courts, Wide Awake. This is I believe the fourth album from Parquet Courts. They have a lot of projects on Spotify, but this is their fourth proper album. And this album really blew me away. I know that you're not probably very familiar with them. I've listened to one or two of their former projects, and Sunbathing Animals, I think, was the name of their second or third project, which I really liked. But this one went up a level for me, and I think because it infused a lot more dance, and that probably is attributed to Danger Mouse producing this. But what was your take on it, not being a huge rock or Parquet Courts guy?
I did enjoy it a lot. I thought the vocals were really engaging. Perhaps because they're, I don't know, more alert sounding. They're louder. They're energetic, coming off of Beach House, relatively recently, Dream Pop, where you can barely make out they're saying sometimes. It's refreshing to hear just a guy jamming on a guitar and actually, like, singing a song, not being all emo-y or moany.
Yep.
So yeah, I thought it was a great listen. It was a quick listen, and just fun sound. Again, I like the guitars on it.
Yeah, they're a band that hails from Brooklyn. They're possibly the most Brooklyn band ever. Their first project they ever released, they released only on cassette. It's like a limited cassette release in 2011, which,
like you do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people even heard that before they probably put it on digital. I think the song that epitomizes this project to me is the self-titled track, Wide Awake. It infuses so much like dance. The needle drop said that it reminded him a little bit of LCD Sound System in a way, which I actually thought was a great call, because it keeps that like punk feeling to it, but adds a real dancey air, which I think is what makes this so great. Also, their lyrics are very smart, and make a lot of actually really smart commentary on socio-political events going on. So we really highly recommend this album. Check out Freebird 2, Total Football, Wide Awake, and When the Water Gets Too High, I think, are the four that stand out to me. But really, there's not like a bad song on this album.
Yeah, I like that transition too. Yeah, the next song's called Freebird 2. I checked it. I was like, is that true? Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah, they're definitely a cool band. So check them out. We're gonna touch on some hip hop, some new hip hop people. At least a person I'm not very aware of. Juice WRLD. Tell me about this guy.
Yeah, so Juice WRLD, relatively new rapper / singer. One SoundCloud EP, one SoundCloud mixtape as of last year, and then he just dropped his debut album. I don't know what the fuck's it called. Goodbye and Good Riddance on May 23rd. So it's been bubbling for about a month or so, and he's someone who's been on my radar for a while, but hadn't really checked into him. And then I realized that he got the Juice WRLD got his lead single "Lucid Dreams." He got a music video from Cole Bennett, and I was like, "I'll check it out." And next thing you know, that song's blowing the fuck up. Debuted at 74, then jumped to 35, then 15, then 9, then this week it's number 6 on the charts in the country.
Crazy.
Solely based off streams. It was the most streamed song on Spotify last week. Estimated right now like 50 million streams. It's really incredible how meteoric this has been. His other song off the record, "All Girls Are the Same," was 49 last week. We'll find out where it is this week tomorrow. But it's impressive to see yet another Chicago artist, a young kid, 19 years old, just kind of blow the fuck up again, And his sound is interesting. You listen to Lucid Dreams, of course, and you'll hear that, this guy, he's not a trapper like G Herbo from Chicago. He's not like Chief Keef, but he's also not really like Chance or anyone else that we associate with the Chicago sound today.
No,
if anything, he's a lot like Little Peep, the late Little Peep, or I guess xxXTentacion's Sad, or even little Post Malone. He's very melodic, very sing-songy, like emo-y, and like a teenage angst, I guess, is kind of like the crux of his lyrics. And while I don't think the project is amazing, I think there are some good songs in there. Black and White I really liked as well. But the melodies, like, he definitely has something. You can hear when you listen to it, just because even the songs maybe don't have the deepest message. It's really just about like he's an emotional guy and he's had some heartbreak and he uses drugs. Like, that's kind of like the gist of Juice WRLD right now. But when you hear the songs and they get stuck in your head just because his melodies are so catchy.
Very catchy.
I think he'll have a good future for sure. I mean, he signed a $3 million Interscope deal a few months ago before his album even dropped. So yeah, he's primed for success. What'd you think of Lucid Dreams?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was very catchy. I just like the total vibe of it. It fits the genre of music I really enjoy, which is just kind of like this, like, I don't know if trancy is the right word for it, but it just kind of has this air around it where it sucks you in. You almost feel like you're just like inside the song. Just kind of go back to something you said though, about how it was the most streamed song on Spotify for last week. That's a week where Kanye and Cudi dropped a project, where Christina Aguilera and Kygo, I think, also dropped a single. So I mean, that speaks a lot to the potential that this kid has, at least as like a pop star, if not a rap artist for the future to come. So someone we'll probably be talking about a lot more. Any last thoughts on the album before we move on?
Definitely give it a check out, at least those notable singles, just to kind of get a gist of what this sound is, because since Lil Peep passed, we haven't had someone really jump up and take that place as kind of this melding of hip hop and emo. So it's again, like, I don't think the project's amazing. I think lyrically he has some work to do. Again, the melodies alone are worth the listen.
Someone that I think is totally worth the listen, and we neglected to speak about last week out of pure forgetfulness and somewhat ignorance on our part. Jorja Smith, her debut album, Lost and Found. Man, I was listening to this on a warm summer drive to my family's cottage on the lake. Speaking of privilege, and man, this was like the most surprising and just like the perfect driving music. I felt like I was like sitting in like a cafe with like rain coming down outside, and like she was just sitting on a stool by herself, like playing these melodies, and I was loving it, dude. Her voice is goddamn angelic. Like, she just is a wonderful artist. I mean, she's done some work before. I think her song was Blue Lights. Blue Lights. What has been out for what, a year or two now?
2016. I think she dropped that when she was 18. She's 21 now. Just turned 21 last week.
And that was probably like my third or fourth favorite song from this project, which I think, being her most popular, speaks to just how deep this record goes as well. I think my question for you, because I think you liked it, but what was your favorite track?
Yeah, it's a good question. I really like Blue Lights. I think Blue Lights is fantastic. I think Teenage Fantasy, though, another previously released song, is probably my favorite song on there, but Where Did I Go is really good. Tomorrow.
Lost and Found is constantly in my head. Just
hell yeah.
Immediately went into my playlists.
And even, again, she's just turned 21, but in a short amount of time, she's also had some like notable guest spots, like the Kali Uchis song "Tyrant."
Yep.
"Let Me Down," Lucy she did with Stormzy. She has the 2 songs on Drake's "More Life," and then she has the song on the Black Panther soundtrack. And she's been around, and this is really coming off of, this is like her really first real project. I mean, she has the Project 11 EP that dropped in late 2016. But that's only 4 tracks. So between those 4 tracks and a few Lucy's, it's really just this album. But she has such like a mature sound for a young R&B singer, and it's not like produced at all. It's very minimal production. And because she's, a vocal driven R&B artist, it really stands out. But also she sounds way more mature than her age. I think her lyrical content's really impressive. And, I'm shout out Drake for making sure we found her, because she's fucking really talented. I mean, I didn't actually realize this till recently, but she supported Drake on one of his recent UK tours, because she's from the UK. And then he kind of like mentioned her in an Entertainment Weekly article, and that's what really got her attention over here. But you'd have to think that she would have bust out eventually anyway, given the immense talent. But I'm happy it's already here, because she's going to be around a fucking long time. She's great.
Definitely. And, she kind of falls into this category that she's a little bit different in terms of this being her first album. These other 2 artists were a bit more established before they broke out the last 2 years, but Solange and SZA come to mind when I hear her, just because she has a very distinct sound. I think SZA and Solange fall a little bit more onto the whole sound, the sonic sound of their music, as well as their vocals. They are on the level of Jorja, but just that singer songwriter vibe that comes with them, and being this huge breakout, I think I have a feeling we're going to be talking about her at the end of the year, and just as like an artist for years to come. Really, really wonderful album. So please check out Lost and Found, Jorja Smith's debut single. Someone else that was featured on the Black Panther album, your guy J Rock. And I freaked it.
Yes, indeed.
And he dropped his 4th album, Redemption.
Third album. Yeah. Follow Me Home in 2011, 90059 2015, and now Redemption. And Rock, obviously, as any rap fan would know, was the first, black hippie artist on TDE. He precedes Kendrick in that regard. Kendrick Lamar used to be J Rock's hype man. J Rock has been the game a fucking long ass time, and his history with Kendrick actually kind of pops back up on WoW Freestyle on Redemption, because they have a lot of songs that kind of sound like that. So that was a cool little time capsule for me, and I think for most people that listened. But I think so. What'd you think of this Rock album? Because 90059, which I think is a good album, did not make much of a commercial impact. I think it debuted 16 for the album chart, 19,000. So pretty underwhelming considering the profile of TD at the time. Again, that was post Pimp a Butterfly 2015.
Right.
And I think if you listen to Redemption, you'll know that Rock, I think, tried to lean into commercial viability in a few moments. And I'm curious what you think about that, because I think his strength is storytelling, not hook making. But he definitely tried to, lean into hooks a little bit on this. What'd you think?
That's actually what I was gonna say. Is listening to just a couple of songs off some of his past projects, I got the sense that sort of like Nas and another artist when we talk about Black Thought, in a way, he's very good with narrative, and he can like really spin a yarn, as the kids might say, in a song. But when it comes to this album Redemption, one, I was kind of I was hoping maybe you could shed some light on why it was called Redemption, if there was something like if that had some meaning, or if it was just maybe because of the song Redemption on here. But it did seem like he was trying to become a little bit more radio. Like he really wanted to get one of these to hit and catch on. It's got to be a little bit humbling to start before Kendrick Lamar and then see him rise to this meteoric fame. Although I gotta be honest, when they were going at each, or I don't know about at each other, but going back and forth on WoW Freestyle, I was like, this is awesome. Like this is what I want to hear more of. Or even a song like For What It's Worth. I thought was when he was at his best. Although I didn't hate the vibe of the album, even when he tried to be more commercial. I was like, you know what, this isn't bad. Like I can get down to this, I can listen to this, and his features on this are great. So
Yeah.
I gotta say it's a really solid effort. But did you like it as much as I did?
No, I really liked it, and I think those commercial leanings, I think Troopers and Knock It Off definitely stand out in terms of the hooks, in terms of what Rock himself is doing for the performance. And even the lead single, Win, 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 win. Like it's, it's definitely trying to get on the radio. And I mean, heck, even King's Dead, which was from the Black Panther soundtrack, a stripped down version is on this album, minus James Blake and Kendrick's verse. But, that's the, I got to go get it. I got to go get it. Like, that's not exactly, lyrics that we expect from Rock, King's Dead was on the radio a little bit. So I guess, it worked for him. But, I mean, to your point about Kendrick passing him on, what's the song, Broke Plus Minus? Yeah. I'm just part of the winning team. Call me Marlon Jackson. And it's like, dog, you don't have to be Marlon Jackson. You're a little more accomplished than that. But we get the point.
Yeah, he can be Draymond or something like that at least. Like, come on,
right? And to your point about the features, I thought
Cole was great.
Cole's features really good, definitely fits. They're a great pair. Wow, freestyles we said for K. Dot. Tap Out, another radio-ish leaning, but Jeremiah really brings it on this. And Redemption, the title track with SZA, again, really good. And I thought probably my favorite song that's just Rock is Rotation 112th. I really like his hook on this. So overall, I think it's a impressive album with, he's definitely leveled up a little bit. Definitely, he understands his place in the game, and he's trying to, grow more despite his, in his 30s already. And I hope it works out for him in terms of, some numbers, because I think he deserves it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that this is an album worth listening to. And if you don't really know J-Rock, I recommend listening to some of his earlier stuff just to kind of get a vibe for him before you move into this, because this is definitely a bit of a step in a different direction for him. Right. To move on to some other artists who a bit more established but similar in the same vein. Black Thought. So he's the lead singer, lead rapper.
Lead vocalist anyway.
Lead vocalist of the Roots. If you don't know the Roots, watch Jimmy Fallon, which is like the least important thing they've ever done, but still like probably where most people know.
They have 11 albums, but now they're just the house band for Jimmy Fallon. It's kind of like they're kind of like overqualified for that, to be blunt.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know who the Roots are, go listen to Tipping Point. Like, just in general, that album is fantastic, and that's like one of their top 4 or 5. Like, they're just class. They're legendary at this point. Yeah,
they're one of the greatest rap groups of all time, bar none. Top 5 easily. It really depends where you want to put them, but they're right there.
So Black Thought released his first solo project called Streams of Thought Volume 1. It's 5 songs, 17 minutes, which is funny because I think when he started to, I don't know if it's do promotion or just make himself known outside of the Roots a little bit within the past year, he did a freestyle over a Funkmaster Flex freestyle.
Yeah.
That was back in December. That was 10 minutes long. And it was, I mean, if you want your earphones to just catch on fire, like just put that on. It's amazing. And this is a lot of the same. And I think that's kind of what I left with is like Black Thought is just one of the best storytellers, one of the best like lyrically competent rappers that I can ever like of our generation probably. But he's nothing that gets me more excited than if I want to listen to something meaningful, I'll put on Black Thought, but I don't really want to like listen to this all the time.
I agree. It's fucking dense.
Yeah.
There's a lot to chew on there. It requires multiple listens. And, due to the brevity of the album, it's a taste, or, EP, it's a taste of, what's to come. And, it's weird given how long he's been in the game, 30 fucking years. You'd think he'd have more solo efforts. Like he has the live mixtape with J Period from 2015. That's not even on streaming. This is his first one that's on, mainstream streaming. So, you'd think he'd have more by now, but, he's been doing other things. He was Reggie Love on The Deuce.
Yeah.
Great role. And like Method Man, he was great as an actor. I actually thought Rhapsody was a good feature on this. Granted, she had the rap Trey Young bar, and I'm like, Trey Young could be a bust, so that might date yourself soon. So we'll see. But yeah, overall, Black Thought, we want more. Let's put it that way.
Well, but before we speak on Black Thought, Trey Young a bust. He's gonna be a Knick soon, dog. Definitely a bust,
not, dude. I'm really hoping the Magic take him 6, so he's not even in the conversation. That's my. Trey Young to the Knicks is doomsday scenario. There's so many guys I would take, but not him.
Yeah. Have you seen the Roots live before?
No, I have not.
I haven't either. I really want to, but I feel like they're always touring with somebody different. Like it's like the Roots with Usher or the Roots with John Mayer, and I'll be like, I don't know if I need the Roots of John Mayer.
Are they at every Roots picnic?
Yes.
Is that the question? They are at every one, right?
Yeah. Well, they're in New York all the time anyway, so they're just like, we're gonna go do a quick set and get that festival bank.
Right.
So, by the way, I heard at Firefly, Kendrick Lamar, this is the second time being at Firefly since the festival started. He performed in 2013. I saw him. He came out like 30 minutes late, played for only like 45 minutes an hour. And the whole time he was like, "This is my first time in Delaware, my first time at this festival." And everybody's like, "What? No, what?" So
that's so weird.
Yeah, it sounds really strange.
Because the tour I just saw, he played for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I don't know, dog. Kendrick Lamar is on another one, but I mean, he probably doesn't give a fuck about these festivals. Get that money? No. So I think maybe someone that we don't really haven't really talked about because he hasn't really done anything worth talking about. Your guy Nas. I mean, it's been 4 years or 6 years since his last album, and I mean Nas.
Years.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
good. 2012.
Yeah, you were what, a sophomore in college this time? As a junior?
Yeah, what time of year to come out? Yes. A long time ago.
Crazy. So Nas dropped an album, Kanye produced, Good Music Fridays, called Nasir. And it's a strange time for Nas because he's facing these allegations of domestic violence from his ex-wife. And he's never really addressed them other than some like comments saying that, it's her taking shots at him, media slandering him. And that's basically what he says in, broadly on this album, but never really addresses it. 7 songs, like all the rest of the Good Music projects. And
he's not even on Good Music, though. I'm not sure why he followed through with the... he could have got other people to give him a few more beats if Kanye was dead set on 7, but alas, it's 7 tracks.
And out of all the projects that Kanye has dropped, this is the one I was probably least excited for and least impressed by. Not so much for Kanye's part in this. I think the production is still great, and the samples that he pulled are just like, he has a Red Dawn sample in there at one point. He pulls from 2 Iranian pop stars and also another amazing Slick Rick sample on Cop Shot the Kids, which just that song is fire. And this is a good project, but I just kind of left being like, man, I don't know where I stand on Nas at this point. Like, he had some awesome bars, and then he had things that I was like just scratching my head at, like that whole like Fox News was started by a black person, like saying that these things are facts alongside. I was just like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to be provocative? Are you trying to like spread conspiracy? I don't know where he's at. And I'm wondering for you, as someone who's a huge fan of hip hop, and Nas obviously is like almost like a godfather of hip hop at this point. I mean,
I just saw him last year.
Yeah, at the Meadows, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how was he then?
He was great. He has a lot of hits.
Yeah,
they're not as mainstream as Jay-Z, but he still got fucking hella hits.
How did you feel about this album then?
Yeah, I kind of have the same thoughts I have about all of these Good Friday runs. 7 tracks. The good shit stands out more. The lackluster shit stands out more.
Right.
If it's only 3 or 4 good tracks, then there's not enough there to, lift it up. It's harder for the album to stand out because it has less to work with. Especially an artist like Nas, who has Illmatic, one of the greatest rap records of all time. Stillmatic, one of the best follow-ups of all time. You know, he's got so many top tier records, and you know, he's 44. It's tough to expect him to knock it out of the park right now. But Jay-Z released his best album in 15 years last year with 444. He's what, 47? He's 48. You know, he's a few, not he's older. So you would have thought Nas perhaps could have had these allegations motivate him to get a little more introspective. At the same time, my thoughts around this album is that it came together more recently. Nas album done, legendary DJ Khaled joint from 2016. We just now got an album. I'm pretty sure Kanye got in Nas's head and was like, no, I got the idea of the 7, and Nas was like, oh, cool. So he probably scrapped or put whatever he had to the side and just made this instead, you know? Kind of like what Kanye did to Ye when shit hit the fan. Sure. So I don't really judge Nas for it being good, not great, but I do think it's good. I think Cop Shot the Kid, like you said, is fucking awesome. The song with Diddy's really great.
Not for radio.
Yeah, the samples, as you mentioned, really pop, really stand out. And he's still a good storyteller, you know? I think Life is Good is fucking awesome. And that proved that it's not like Nas needs Ye. I don't think he needed Ye's beats either. It would have been fine without him. But again, it's a short album, so you have less time to, you know, stand out and, you know, make your point. And he didn't totally do it, but it's still good.
The emotional centerpiece of this album is Everything, which is
with the dream.
Also, the only thing off this album or the only title that's not capitalized, which I also find there's got to be something behind that. But it's 7 minutes long, and the dream is great in it, and I think Nas' verse in it. But just as like the emotional centerpiece of this album, I just kind of left like, like just I want simple things. I want Not For Radio. I want Cop Shot the Kids. I want Nas going hard, and like when he tries to get to these, I don't know, emotional places, it really doesn't land for me. So that was probably the track I liked the least. I kind of found myself just wanting to skip it every time it came on. But the rest of them I thought are good to great songs. Like I think Cop Shot the Kids is a great song. So, you know, like I said, it left me a little disappointed, but also for what I was expecting, what I was looking for from these Good Friday drops, quote unquote. This was probably the one I cared about the least anyway. So Tiana Taylor next week, ready to see what she can do. Her debut album. So
second album debut, I forget. Yeah,
at least debut good music, right? So
yeah, it'll be her first that's hopefully made an impact. Her last stuff didn't do much for her, so we'll see.
So we forgot Jorja last week, and we're like, well, we're gonna have a packed show this week, but we'll be able to get through it. And then Saturday night rolls around. I go on Twitter, and and there it is. Jay-Z and Beyoncé at a concert in Europe somewhere. London? I'm pretty sure.
Wherever.
Dropped. They're like, oh, well, guess what just dropped on Tidal? The Carters dropped an album. Everything is Love. The Carters. Yeah. Fucking the Carters.
That annoys me.
It's pretty campy, I feel like. But regardless, we'll get into it. Everything is Love. I guess you said on Twitter, the trilogy is complete. Which, it makes sense. So, you know, Beyonce had Lemonade 2016, Jay-Z 444 last year. You already prefaced it saying it's probably his best work in 15 years. Beyonce's Lemonade was widely heralded as the best album of the year in 2016.
Except for the Grammys. They still liked Adele more.
Oh, and they haven't forgotten it. Man, this album, first of all, fuck them for dropping it surprise on a Saturday. Like,
what a flex. What a flex.
They're just like, we don't care. We'll drop this whenever. Like, people are going to listen. People are going to make Tidal accounts, and then they're going to just drop it on Spotify anyway. Shout out to me. I don't know, man. Like, it's every song on this is good. Like, there's no bad songs to me on this. But for some reason, I just kind of left this being like, I didn't need this. Like, I didn't need to hear this the Carters album. I'm wondering if you liked it. I'm wondering if you care about the Carters. I don't know. Where are you at with all this?
Yeah, I mean, so just to preface the name thing, on Views, Drake's album, Child's Play, right? Child's Play? Yeah, Child's Play featuring or is it, no, Pop Style featuring The Throne. It's like, no. Kanye West and Jay-Z. No one called you a fucking throne. Stop this shit. So it's like the Carters. I'm like, what is this? Like a business contract you signed? Like Beyonce and Jay-Z. I'm sure you'll put Beyonce's name first. Like, let's call it how it is, so it pops up in fucking Spotify when you search their names.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, I'm with you on this. When we said the trilogy is complete, Jay-Z, Eliminated and 444 are very much companion pieces, and then everything is love it's like a victory lap. This is just them stunting and be like, yeah, we still in love even though we're this rich and we've been around this long. It's like,
right.
It's not like it's like a true follow-up per se, but I guess it's the follow-up they wanted to make. And also because they're was it On the Run 2 tour is about to kick off domestically.
Exactly.
This is probably the timing for why this dropped now. That being said, man, do I feel bad for Nas? Like they've been good for a while.
Yeah.
As far as we know. But it's like, man, like Jay, we already know you're gonna outsell him. Give him a little time. Because I mean, I think Nas's album kind of
on Spotify for like, I don't know, that not to cut you off, but it didn't even drop on Spotify for like more than a couple hours before they dropped this. So it wasn't even really on streaming. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Rock tweeted that meme of Nas, and it's like there was more talk about how the fact that it wasn't on there's like, how do you get this to work? It's like, so I kind of felt bad for Nas in that regard. Maybe if the album was a little better, he could stand out more, but again, it's Jay-Z and Beyonce. I agree with you though. I think everything's really great, but I don't know if like I needed any of this. Like I think Ape Shit is what everyone's talking about as the best song, and I really like Nice and 713. Shout out Beyonce for fucking interpolating Still Dre, for crying out loud. And I think overall, what I take away from this is that Beyonce has probably surpassed Jay-Z. Like, Hove is
not even close.
Like in terms of like right now, like what they're doing now. Again, 444 is fucking amazing. So I think number 3 album of last year. But when you put them together, it's like Hove is just content to,
just be him.
Do Bay's backup vocals. Fucking
let it breathe.
Migos ad-lib for her, and
let it breathe.
Like, so again, their chemistry together as artists. It's so fucking obvious that they can just crap out this album and it's really good. That's the worst, I mean, like, where do these songs compare to their other collaborations? Obviously, they've been together for 17 years? Is it early 2000s, right? From a Blueprint 2 eras when they first collabed on Bonnie and Clyde. But like, what's your go-to song from them? Was it Crazy in Love or Drunk in Love? Even Upgrade You, I think, is my favorite one. But I mean, they have a lot of good songs together already.
I mean, Drunk in Love is just a classic. I think all these songs are better than Change Clothes and Go, which that's pretty much my only take. I don't know. It's hard.
Is she on Change Clothes? That's just Jay-Z and Pharrell.
Maybe it is, but I think she's in the music video, at least from what I can remember. So, man, I don't know. Like, where I stand with this is everything Beyonce did in this album I found so much more interesting than Jay-Z, even though I feel like some of what he was actually talking about were the best lines and the lines that were the things that intrigued me the most, like
Super Bowl line.
Talking about like his first time in the ocean, I thought was really interesting. Called out the Grammys, like there were things in there. I was like, these are all like interesting things. But then Beyonce would just come in and she would start rapping like on Ape Shit, or even just watching in the music video. Like, I can't take my eyes off Beyonce, and I think that's where the culture's at right now. Is Beyonce is literally the queen. She's Queen Bee. Anytime anyone feuds with Beyonce, they're just getting a bunch of bee emojis everywhere, and she just dominates. And Jay-Z's like, I'm just gonna throw you alley-oops. I'm just gonna take the shot when you pass it out to me, LeBron. Like, that's pretty much what it's like right now. So
yeah, I agree.
I also wasn't like super impressed with like the production of this album. So
yeah, it's competent, but it doesn't stand out at all. Yeah, to your point about Jay-Z's lyrics, I also liked Boss. Everyone thinks he's going out at Drake on those verses. Tough time for Drizzy right now. So Pusha T and Jay-Z throwing shots at you. And
although before we start recording, it was announced Jay-Z is now the president of Puma's basketball operations. So like, I don't know if that's a win or a loss for him. Like,
yeah, I mean,
very confusing.
Sidebar on that, they're signing DeAndre Ayton, Marvin Bagley, and Zaire Smith, who are all lottery talents. Bagley and Ayton probably top 4,
Right. And
then they get Jay-Z to head it. I'm like, well, Jay-Z was really influential in Tidal, right? That went well. He was the minority owner of the Brooklyn Nets. That went well. Rock Nation Sports is kind of petered off in terms of sports agency. So
Robbie Cano.
Yeah. And what, Cespedes? Ooh, good one. That's interesting. But, I think to your point about like Jay-Z doesn't stand out as much on this, besides the, moments of, lyrical dexterity. Like, I think it's by design. I think Jay-Z was happy to just kind of, go with the flow on this. And by going with the flow, that means letting Beyonce fucking run shit. And this is not even like peak Beyonce. It's nowhere close. So
no,
that's why like we didn't really need this, because it's like this doesn't scratch the top tier of either of their discographies. Just kind of there. It's like it's the victory lap. You really can't ask for more from it.
It's funny because as I'm like thinking about all the albums we talked about, I think the 2 we talked about at the beginning, Parquet Courts and Jorja Smith, are probably the 2 I'll come back to the most out of all these. Probably Cop Shot the Kids will be the song I listen to most out of any of these, but like overall with all of these, it's I don't know about disappointing, but just not really blowing me away. Something that blew me away though, the first season of Legion. I mean, that show stylistically and just weirdness factor really put that show ahead of everything else. And we prefaced Legion a couple weeks back. We haven't touched on it in a while.
After the premiere or after the second episode, was it?
Yeah, I think it was after the premiere, I believe. We haven't touched on it in a while, just with trying to bring you other things to talk about. It wrapped up last week, and I think stylistically, the show is still one of the most intriguing on TV. And I think a lot of the performances are good, but I left feeling kind of like something was missing this season. And I don't think anything was necessarily off, but I think it was a lot of like, I don't know if misdirection is the right word. I think it's just a lot of false starts. Like they started to go in one direction with the storyline. Like, how do you say his name? Patanomy? Going into the computer.
Yeah.
And then you see him like 2 more times inside the computer. And then they're talking about Carrie and their sort of role reversal. And then they kind of petered off from that. It's like, it never really got traction in any direction other than, is David going to be good or is he going to be bad?
Right. And I think a big part of this is season 1 was 8 episodes. Season 2 was 11 episodes. Right. You never should add episodes to any season, no matter what it is. And taking away when it's that many is usually the right move. Obviously, Game of Thrones shouldn't have taken any away last season, as we've said before. But with this season, adding 3 more episodes, it's weird because season 1, David's mental state was really the driving force of the season in terms of like what was real, what wasn't. Is he just insane? Is he really powerful? Like that was so much more compelling than what we got in season 2 for the majority of the season. We thought once the Shadow King was expelled from him in season 1, David seems much more alert and all there, right? And that's combined with a much more straightforward narrative. I just found it less interesting. And I think part of that, it's like this story was just dragged out too long. They were searching for Farouk's body forever. Right. They didn't need to do it this long. And it's annoying because, like you said, there's all these supporting characters that I think the actors are giving good performances and they are intriguing characters, but they're still more or less ciphers. Like Carrie, like we get the taste. Oh, she knows how to fight, but she doesn't understand figures of speech, let alone bodily functions. Wonder how that's going. We never get it again. Right. Melanie Bird, completely absent the whole fucking season until the very end. And when she is around, she's more or less, it's revolving around her love of Oliver. Kind of annoying, considering how great Jean Smart is as an actress, as we saw in Fargo season 2.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I forget the guy who plays Oliver, but he's also fantastic. Play the Concord.
Clement. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, like you have those two people, and you just can't figure out how to really use them. Like Oliver is a cipher for the Farouk for the shit.
Mhm.
It's like what. It's a little frustrating in a way, especially because I think what they try to do with having these extra episodes, like you mentioned, was they tried to use one or two of them to really flesh out those characters. Like they had the episode that centered around Sid's storyline and her past and David exploring that, and then they had the other one where David was trying to figure out what everybody else's inner desires or inner I don't know what they're looking for, and him trying to help them realize
with the mazes, yeah,
bring them back. And it kind of left me just not really caring. Like I didn't change how I felt about any of these characters really, except for maybe Sid a little bit. Maybe invest in David and Sid a little bit more.
I think the Sid one was definitely closest, but
sure.
I mean, to that point again, like Potomany's power is that he remembers everything. So it's a convenient exposition dump, but like you never do anything with it. Once we realized that he would like to forget some things, so that's just frustrating. And I'm not trying to shit on the season. I still think it's good, and I'm kind of coming at this as like it's a Mr. Robot season 2, where I think where we're getting to for season 3 could be really fucking exciting and hopefully really great.
Yeah, I actually had the same thought. Is something like Mr. Robot, where the first 4 episodes of the season 2, you were kind of like, where's this going? And then it really sets up for season 3, which ends up being, I mean, probably 3 of the show's most thrilling scenes are in that season, at least in my book. And I think David, going full heel with Lenny is going to be just awesome to watch. Putting Dan Stevens and Aubrey Plaza and just letting them like run amok is going to be fantastic.
Right.
And the scenes where David gets to just kind of like use his powers are some of the best ones to watch. Like him and Farouk having that final battle with the animation going on. I was like, in that scene of him just like floating above the ground towards Farouk, I was like, yes, like Eye of Sauron and the clouds above them. Like I was like, this is what I'm talking about. I don't know. It's hard because I don't really care a lot about the secondary characters, and they're gonna have to do a little bit of development around them in order to really establish them trying to beat David or however that goes. But overall, I still think this is a good show. Like it's worth watching.
Right. Yeah, I think in season 3, there's the opportunity and probably the necessity now is that Sid will become perhaps the main protagonist because David is the villain. He's kind of becoming more like his comic character. So I'm excited about that. How did you feel about the John Hamm narrative, interludes throughout the season? What did you think of those? I thought they looked nice, at least, and John Hamm's a great voice actor.
Yeah, I think John Hamm's one of like the best voice actors. Like him and Cranston for guys are the ones I think of most. But I thought they were a little bit on the nose.
It's just kind of holding your hand too much.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing about Legion is it's a show that didn't really hold your hand in the first season. Like it didn't really hold your hand that much at other parts of the second season. Like I left very confused in certain episodes. Like I was texting a friend of the show, Sean McKenna. And I was like, man, am I supposed to know what's going on in Legion right now? Because I'm a little bit lost. And he's like, I have no idea what's going on.
I read a lot of I read a recap every episode.
That definitely helps.
Help hone it in. But yeah, I mean, I thought in some of those John Hamm moments, it was kind of like a thin connection to what the actual plot was at the time. So I didn't think they were always necessary. But again, like the A to B of Legion season 2 is so much simpler than season 1. But that doesn't necessarily mean it was more coherent, So
what do you think of
like the show?
What do you think of Amy and everything that happened with her this season?
Well, I thought that was actually one of the best scenes, bringing Lenny back into the fold physically. That was definitely really great. Yeah, and everything, the whole finale, I think, is fantastic in terms of the Sid versus David. In terms of like, once she realizes where he's going, I think that all really works well. And the other thing that kind of annoyed me about the season is Farouk kind of like kept like bringing up about how he was like not the real villain and like perhaps sympathetic, and I'm like, dog, you done some fucked up shit. Like, this isn't gonna work for me. But
yeah, and then at the end, David's in jail and Farouk is literally sitting there free. I'm like, like this guy still did awful shit. You can't just let him run free. But man, the whole like David mentally drugging Sid and like taking advantage of her sexually, like that's a tough look, like for David at the end of the season, man. If there's one way to like turn him heel, I guess like that's a good start. I don't know. I'm excited for the third season. Noah Hawley has one of my I think as Bill Simmons called it, like my season pass. Like no matter what he does, I'm gonna check it out.
I got tickets
so
already.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited for season 3. I think you are too. Something we were both excited for as well. Incredibles 2 dropped this weekend. It's been what, 13 years?
14 years. 2003.
14 years. Man,
right? Yeah.
So that's even.
2004.
I guess
2004. Sorry.
4, yeah. Pixar puts out quality movies all the time. Even their not so great movies like Cars 2 and 3 are, I guess, watchable. Like they're
still watchable for kids, at least, you know.
Exactly, for half of who they're going for. But this was far beyond that. I mean, if I had to give this like a rating out of 100, it'd be high 80s for me probably.
I'm higher, I think.
You're higher, like what, 93, 94, something like that?
Yeah, I'm thinking like 9.5. I have like no complaints about this film. I think it's fucking great.
Yeah, and I for Black Panther, for Avengers Infinity War, I think this might be my favorite superhero movie of the year to this point. Black Panther has a much larger social meaning behind it, and
I need to see Black Panther in this again to really figure out between the two, but I have it above Avengers right now.
Yeah, so tell me why you give it like a 9.5 for you.
So I think Incredibles 2, I think Brad Bird really brings his talents to this yet again. The action is just so perfect, coherent and great and still awesome to watch. And it's so funny in the era of green screens and $250 million blockbuster budgets. It's an animated movie that brings us back to like true action greatness, and it's what a breath of fresh air. It's just it's hilarious actually when you think about it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a perfect follow-up because not only does it pick up right where the show left off, but it doesn't try and run it back. It does things different, and it's just incredibly entertaining the whole time. Incredibly entertaining.
That's right, Dave. Great word for it. I think the thing I really appreciate about this movie is they let all the characters, except for maybe Edna and Frozone, I guess, because they're just tertiary characters to the story, but they let all the Incredibles, the Parr family, they all develop in a different way. Even Jack, who is still a baby, like he's probably the best part of the movie. Like seeing him,
the whole raccoon scene is fucking great, but he becomes a recurring bit in the best possible way.
Yeah, I mean, one of the scenes that sticks out most to me is when they're in that final ship. I guess spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie, you're listening. Yeah, just come back later. When he becomes big, like out of nowhere, he somehow has the power to become super big, and like just thinking about like you were thinking how they're gonna get out of it. It's amazing. Like he's an Omega mutant in the
right
X-Men world, but yeah, I mean. I loved all the stuff with Mr. Incredible, learning to be a stay-at-home dad and like actually developing in that, not just being like incompetent the whole time, which was satisfying.
And I thought that was a great choice as the B plot because it's a believable, coherent, and worthwhile B plot. A lot of B plots in superhero movies are really frivolous, and it also follows up on the character. Bob has a big ego. It's a big part of season 1. That's why half the reason Syndrome becomes bad, you know. And to follow that up and have Elastigirl be the star and have him have to gripe with that and, you know, figure out basic dad shit and like the horrors of new math, you know, I thought you're a great decision, great choice. I actually thought the MVP of the movie for me, though, Jack aside, he's definitely the most entertaining guy whenever he's on screen. But I actually thought Violet was my favorite character in this movie. I thought again, it's not anything we've never seen before. A teenage girl, you know, going through some shit and having a dad figuring out how to deal with that. That's not groundbreaking, but just the way it works and the way it flows through the movie is just so perfect.
Yeah. And also, I mean, she's the MVP because she's also the one that is sort of like, I don't know if moral compass is, moral compass of the movie. Like at the points where they're not really sure, like what to do. She's the one that's like, we have to do this, and like she does it in like the most like teenagery, like I really hate this, but like I know I have to do it anyway, type of way. It's so great. Also, yeah, Elastigirl getting to be the center of attention with it, and really like see her kind of move out of that like secondary mom role to being the star, and like figure out the plot and figure out what was going on with Screensaver was just really cool, because it also kind of, like you said, flips the narrative on its head, but it also lets a female superhero be the lead, which we're going to be talking about Captain Marvel in the future and a couple others, but there haven't been a lot of movies where female leads get to do that. Female
Wonder Woman last year, really.
Yeah, I guess if you want to count Harley Quinn and Suicide Squad, maybe.
I mean, she's close at least, Yeah.
So it's, I mean, everybody got to develop, everybody got their shine, and also the action scene, I just can't say enough. Like the final scene on the boat, I really was like clenching my seat, like the hands on my seat. I was really into it. And Edna also, like, what a cameo, and her and Jack. He is inquisitive and I am stimulating or something like that. We deserve each other. Like the whole crowd erupted where I was. It was perfect.
Yeah, she's voiced by Brad Bird.
Really? That's fantastic. Did not know that.
Yeah, she's great. A great character. Great callback from the first one. How did you feel about those? There's more than one gratuitous shot of Elastigirl's hips in the movie. I saw a lot on Twitter about Elastigirl low-key thick.
Yeah, they make her waist like incredibly like thin, but then her thighs and ass are big. I don't know how that's supposed to work. It's a little strange. To speak of something a little bit more though, I was really glad Bob Odenkirk didn't end up being the secret villain in this, which he almost is in every single thing he voices. And Catherine Keener, who you know her from 40-Year-Old Virgin as the love interest in that, but in a ton of other things as well, I thought was great. But what did you think of Screenslaver as a villain in general?
Right. So I think overall, I think what they did with Screensaver was smart, because they didn't keep up the ghost throughout the whole movie. Mm-hmm. You knew that the villain had to be someone we had already seen. So, I think most people were starting to guess that it was Odenkirk or Catherine Keener, one of them, right? So I'm happy they kind of got into the true villain plan eventually. But I think Screensaver is a compelling villain. I think the use of hypnotism was smart. I think that fight where he kind of traps Elastigirl, I thought went well. Now it's interesting because the movie takes place in the 60s. There's no smartphones, but she's still all about the screens and how it makes people lazy and, complacent. And it was interesting just because it's a very modern criticism or point, yet it's still taking place in the 60s. So I thought it was effective overall, but it made me think a little bit.
Definitely. Yeah, I thought Screenslaver was probably it was a good villain. I thought very intriguing and just like visually like stunning, especially because a lot of it is hypnotizing. So there's a lot of like flashing and things like that, which draws you to it. I did think it was a very like meta like comment on society right now, for sure. I think the one thing, if I had to pick one nit with this, they never really get the Underminer. Like, he's out there, dog. Like,
John Ratzenberg needs that cameo, man.
for real. Like, I was like, they're not even gonna go get this guy. Like, they're gonna put the superheroes away, and then they're just gonna let him run free. Like, he's out there. He's gonna rob another bank.
Yeah, but, I mean, my guess going in was like, so they'll vanquish him in 2 minutes to start the movie. Then they'll get on with the real movie. But no, he got away. Interesting call.
Definitely.
So where do you stand on Brad Bird? Because he low-key has a fire-ass filmography, dog.
Iron
Giant, Incredibles, Ratatouille, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, Tomorrowland, his only real miss. That's not even that bad. And then Incredibles 2. Pretty impressive.
Iron Giant's the best one out of all those.
I agree. I think that's pretty common lukewarm take for most people. But overall impressive. He's, it's interesting because I think he's the first guy to have an internship at Disney Animation. So he's like really one of Disney's,
OGs,
born and bred stars.
Yeah.
And and I think he did spend some time away from Disney. Then he came back, and like Andrew Stanton, is it? Andrew Stanton made Finding Nemo, then went off and tried live action, kind of missed, or actually really missed with John Carter. Then he came back and did Finding Dory. Brad Bird, he's done 2 live action movies, but the second one, Tomorrowland, didn't totally land. So he goes back and does animation. So it's kind of cool how these like talented animated guys can just go back and jump right into what they're really great at and just knock out of the park again. Because Finding Dory was the highest grossing animated film as of 2016 when it came out, with 135 million opening weekend, until Incredibles 2 fucking blew the shit out of the water. 180 million this past weekend. Not only is that obviously the biggest animated weekend of all time, various other records regarding that, but it's the 8th biggest weekend period. It's slightly ahead of Civil War and Beauty and the Beast, billion-dollar films.
Crazy.
So, shout out Pixar yet once again. And you know what else is impressive, given that this is an animated film? They were originally slated for 2019. Then Toy Story 4 was having some story issues, so they pushed Incredibles up. So they basically took a year away from Brad Bird and company to make this movie. That doesn't look like it when you watch it.
No, and I think if anything's a testament to Brad Bird, is that Incredibles, the first one, was so good that 14 years later, not only does he pull in that younger audience, but everybody our age, everybody a little bit older who saw Incredibles was like, I need to see this. And it just speaks to his ability to write these stories, to direct them in a way that's beautiful and intriguing. It was interesting to watch some of the older clips of the first Incredibles. I haven't seen it in a couple of years. And just like the animation just looks so much better now, which is kind of crazy because the animation then was really good. So it's just amazing how far it's come. And I don't see Pixar slowing down anytime soon. I mean, Toy Story 4 is going to be enormous. So
yeah, that's a year from now too.
Crazy. We're going to wrap up there. Any last thoughts on Incredibles?
We don't have to get into it, but Ayn Rand, obviously the libertarian godmother, right? Apparently, there's a lot of talk about, is Brad Bird an objectivist? Is The Incredibles an objectivist text? And we don't have to get into it, yes or no, but just Google that. It's an interesting thought to see what people take away from Incredibles and try and make it say it's yay or nay for objectivism. I think it's very interesting. So check that out for further reading.
That's your reading assignment for the week. Next week, we're going to be talking about Tiana Taylor, 9 Inch Nails. What else we got for music?
Kamasi Washington, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and Westworld Season 2, something we haven't talked about in a minute. And if you know anything about Nowstalgia, we'll have some thoughts on Westworld.
I've heard very up and down thoughts. I haven't been watching, so I got to catch up, and not looking forward to it. So
we'll get into why next week.
Yeah, sounds good. Until then, follow us on Twitter at NowstalgiaPod. Go to our Spotify playlist. As of the time you listen to this, it'll be updated with all the music we're talking about, our favorite songs from those projects.
Damn near 60 songs already this year, so there's definitely shit you haven't heard, so check out that playlist.
Quality music year thus far. Sure. Please follow Dave at Martin Swagger, myself at Sheeney World Peace, and give us some feedback through soundcloud.com/nostalgiapod. Comment on all of our YouTubes and subscribe. Share us with friends, share us with family. Help us grow. We appreciate you. We love you. Give us a rating and review on iTunes. See you next week.